Hey there, I'm the Madcatster. Am I glad to see you here? Well, we all know the Ace family has been plagued by lawsuits for years, but there's one major lawsuit in New York State that was talked about briefly a couple of years ago in 2021 when it started. It hasn't been talked about in a while, and it's a pretty big one, and it could potentially end the Ace family as we know it. I've got the deets, and I've got the receipts, so buckle up and let's go. So I'm here with Sybil, and Sybil's feeling better tonight, and we'd both like to ask you please to support the channel. Please like, subscribe, and share the video if you're so inclined. We'd really appreciate your help to grow. Let's talk about this major lawsuit. One of, I think, if not the biggest and if not the most damaging for the Ace family, then certainly one of the most damaging to the Ace family, potentially. I'm going to show you guys what it's all about. And of course, I've got all the receipts, which I'm going to show you. And you'll be amazed at some of the banana stuff that's been going on in the court, because I have a transcript that I thought was pretty hysterical. And I'm also going to explain to you why this could be the end of the Ace family as we know it. So let's start off by looking at who is suing the Ace family. Well, it's this company called Subify, and apparently back in 2020, they, at the Ace family's request, had entered into an agreement to create this interactive website that would be used for the Ace family's club, and people would sign up for memberships and there'd be exclusive content, etc. Okay, that's apparently the specialty of this Subify company. Now, who they're suing is not the Ace family, Austin and Catherine. They're suing Ace Hat Collection, which is the company incorporated in California. And this basically is like the company that is the parent of all of the Ace family's YouTube activities and stuff, like their merchandise, their website, and if certain events that they've done and contracts they've entered into and broken. That's like the entity. Now, the agreement was between Subify and the Ace Hat Collection, and we're going to look at the agreement in a minute. It's not just going to be a bunch of legalese and stuff. I've picked out like what I think are the most crucial parts of these documents, just so you will have a broad understanding of exactly what's going on. Why this is coming up now and why the focus is coming back to this is a few months ago, the Ace family's lawyers had argued a motion to dismiss the whole action, and of course, Subify's lawyers argued why it shouldn't be dismissed, and ultimately Subify won, and that's why this has now come back into focus. So let's now take a look at the complaint, which we'll set out in brief form, and I've highlighted just a few sections so that you can understand what it is that they're alleging and understand what the agreement was, etc. So this is in New York, and it's because in the agreement, the parties had agreed that any controversy or claims that arose from this contract that they signed would be decided by a New York court. The courts have held that parties are free to negotiate those kind of terms, and we call it forum selection. This is not uncommon. There are a lot of companies that choose New York as a forum. So this is they call it the Supreme Court. It's really sort of like what most of us would recognize as the Superior Court. So it's Subify versus Ace Hat Collection. Here's a sort of a summary of what Subify is claiming. So they're saying that Subify is a pioneer in the content monetization and fan engagement technology industry. And I'm not going to read all of this. I'm just going to skip to certain parts. And it's basically fan engagement platforms which enable merchants and celebrity content creators to curate unique and highly customizable subscription platforms featuring their own branded content. And each subscription platform seamlessly integrates its branded materials and content with third-party commerce. So in other words, if you have an outside site where you sell things like, for instance, the Ace family's merchandise website, they're saying that this platform that they create will seamlessly integrate. I looked up Subify, and they seem pretty legit. They've worked with a lot of big creators like Logan Paul and a bunch of other people, so they're not just some fly-by-night Mickey Mouse company. And this is now the argument of what they're saying happened. On or about June 26, 2020, Subify and Ace entered into a license and service agreement, the agreement, which for the rest of this, we'll just call it the agreement, where Subify agreed to create one such customized fan engagement platform, the member platform, and that they would integrate the member platform into Ace's website. They would operate the member platform for the benefit of Ace and provide Ace with guidance and instruction concerning best practices in monetizing the platform, blah, blah, blah. and it would permit them to interact and engage in electronic commerce with subscribers while also earning substantial sums in subscription revenue. In consideration of these services, Ace agreed to pay Subify 33% of the revenue derived from the member platform. So in other words, from the subscription fees that people would pay, foolishly in my opinion, to join the Ace Family's club. Okay, now I think 33% sounds very high, but you know, that's what the parties negotiated. So after the launch of the member platform on July 1st, 2020, Subify continued its dutiful performance under the agreement, assigning 6 of its employees to assist Ace in its customer support, even electing not to charge Ace for these services, even though it was entitled to under the agreement. That sounds pretty generous to me. And probably because it was being newly rolled out, they figured it would be beneficial to have these people on hand in case something, you know, there are glitches whenever you roll something out. And it also says Subify allocated additional development and server resources to respond to the member platform's heavy traffic load, again, electing not to charge Ace. Okay, so sounds pretty good. Sounds like what they're saying is, in case something goes wrong, we want to make sure that the resources are there, handle it, and because this is new, we're not going to charge you for having these additional resources on standby, which I think is very professional of them. In the month of July 2020, the member platform generated, now get this, after they launched it in July, the member platform generated revenue in the amount of $493,153. And in the month of August 2020, the member platform generated revenue in the amount of $365,016.96. So that sounds to me like a lot of money just from subscriptions. You also have to ask yourself, this was like at the time when their house was falling into pre-foreclosure and getting ready to go into foreclosure. If they had all of this cash coming in, why didn't they pay up their mortgage? Why did they not apply this money towards curing the default on their mortgage and stop the foreclosure? I don't know. Everything they do boggles my mind. Anyways, you know, pursuant to the agreement, it says on or about August 3rd, 2020, Subify provided Ace with an invoice for $162,740.59, which was 33% share of the July revenue from the site, as they agreed in the contract. Now, it says that Ace failed and refused to make any payment on that invoice. Now, does this sound familiar to anybody? Then it says on or about September 1, 2020, Subify provided Ace with an invoice for $120,455.59, representing its 33% share of Ace's August 2020 revenue, according to the agreement. Notwithstanding their repeated requests for payment, Ace failed and refused to make any payment on the September 1, 2020 invoice. So they refused to pay the invoice that covered the July revenue. They refused to pay the invoice that covered the August revenue. Then, on or about September 11th, so just a couple of weeks later, Ace's legal counsel served Subify with a notice purporting to terminate the agreement based upon previously undisclosed breaches allegedly committed by Subify. So what they're saying is there's some pretext, basically, that the Ace Family's lawyers, and by the way, it's the same law firm they use in a lot of these things, they came up with some pretext why they were canceling the agreement. Now, you may say, well, maybe they had good reason. Well, no, because the agreement determines and dictated what the procedure was if there were allegations that something was wrong and what the process was for terminating. So stay with me. The termination notice was not preceded by a prior written notice of the alleged breaches, inclusive of a 30-day opportunity to cure the same, as was required to terminate the agreement for cause pursuant to Section 6B of the agreement. So, in other words, the Ace Family, of course, they think that they are a law unto themselves, and they have shown in the past, in my opinion, that they have no respect for contracts and agreements. And true to form, they just said, you're fired, and didn't follow the agreement and the contract that they entered into, which is legally binding. Hey, listen to this. This is where it gets worse. It's not just about non-payment of bills. It's about theft of intellectual property. So stay with me. On or about September 21, 2020, Ace launched a new member platform. They're calling it the misappropriated platform, and that'll become clear why in a minute, to interact and engage in electronic commerce with its subscribers, which was made available on its website. Upon the launch of the misappropriated platform, it became abundantly clear that Ace had impermissibly misappropriated Subify's confidential information and trade secrets, which they had disclosed to Ace as part of their relationship, and they were memorialized, and all of these things are detailed in the agreement. So it goes on to say, in addition to being indistinguishable from the member platform in look and appearance, the misappropriated platform was constructed with source code that is identical to the custom source code that Subify created for the member platform, as well as customized plugins that are identical to the plugins Subify created. So they're saying that basically the Ace family took the website that Subify created and relaunched it as their own without having anyone create a new one for them, which is a clear breach. And I've read the agreement. I'm not going to go over the agreement with you because it's a lot of legalese, okay? But all the parameters are in the agreement, and so this is definitely a violation of the agreement. But the Ace family, of course, and their lawyers have some unique arguments that I think are ridiculous, and thankfully the court agreed. I'll get to those in a minute, of why they think this was okay to do this. So it says that Ace's conduct constitutes trade secret misappropriation, unfair competition, and breach of contract, okay? Now sort of talks about why this is proprietary, okay? Why it's not just, some rinky-dink website. And they'd say that their proprietary platform, the product of nearly 10 years of effort and millions of dollars in development costs, and, they've launched it for other people similar to the Ace family. So clearly this is something that they have put together and probably have been fine-tuning as they went along. It says it enables its clients to curate a unique subscription platform that generates monthly revenues, okay? And that's because foolish people, in my opinion, who decide they want to give their money to the Ace family for whatever additional content they're putting on this club, which of course no longer exists as far as I know, that's what produces the revenue for this platform. So then they talk about their trade secrets, and they say that Subify, and again, I'm not going to get into all the excruciating details, so please stay with me because the good stuff is coming. The really good stuff is coming. Each Subify platform partner is obligated to execute an agreement similar to the agreement between Subify and Ace, which broadly but definitively defines Subify's confidential information and trade secrets, strictly proscribes such partners' use and disclosure of such confidential information, which basically means it prohibits it, and provides for actionable remedies in the event that any such partner breaches those confidences. And it says Subify's platform partners are never granted, and this is important, full admin access to their respective member platforms. This is where the alleged theft comes in. Only by taking a site offline and reverse engineering the hosted member platform, as Ace has done with the Subify created member platform, could any platform partner gain access to the entirety of trade secrets and confidential information used to create the platform. So what they're saying is the Ace family, and they didn't do it themselves, of course, please. They had another company, which we're going to talk about in a second, and under a really kind of sketchy deal, apparently took and downloaded the site, were able to work with the components in the code and stuff and put it, back together basically as the same platform. So we'll skip ahead here. And so the agreement, they said that, in June 2020, Ace approached Subify about engaging its services, okay? Then on or about June 26th, they entered into the agreement. And that was a domain called aceclub.shopacefamily.com. It says, pursuant to the agreement, Subify agreed to and did create the member platform. In consideration of their provision of services under the agreement, Ace agreed to pay Subify 33% of the revenue every month. And Subify's performance under the agreement required its disclosure of trade secrets and confidential information to Ace. And the methods and processes through which Subify affected these ends, combined with the unique manner in which Subify integrated those modified plugins into its custom source code, comprise Subify's trade secrets and confidential information. So they're saying basically all the stuff they put into the platform is confidential and trade secrets, and it can't be copied because they created it. And now you're going to hear Ace Family's lame ass, in my opinion, argument of why they don't think that this is proprietary to Subify. And in my opinion, it's a ridiculous argument, and I really think they are going to lose this one. But stay with me and let's keep going. So they said that even Ace, which unsuccessfully attempted to launch its own member platform prior to contracting with Subify, earned close to $1 million on the Subify created member platform in just 8 weeks of operation. So basically what they're saying is the Ace family attempted to do something on their own before they asked Subify to do it. And then once Subify created the platform, they earned almost $1 million in the time that they were working together. And you're going to see, it was only like that July and August that they worked together. And then suddenly the Ace family and the Ace Hat Collection just ends the contract, and they have this other company swoop in and recreate the exact same website. And my guess is probably because they wanted a lower percentage than Subify. And I'm sure the Ace family's greedy little dollar signs were going around in their eyes, and they were like, why are we paying them all this money when we could pay less and have more of this money for ourselves? And so I'm sure that was the motivation. But you'll hear they've got some lame excuses of why they think they're in the right. So, it goes on to talk about that the confidential information was supposed to remain the property of Subify, and Ace agreed that it would not use Subify's confidential information for any purpose. And when they say confidential information, they mean like the code and everything that went into creating the platform. They don't mean like documents. They're saying that they agreed that they would not use this for any purpose other than to exercise or perform their rights or obligations under the agreement, and further agreed that they would not copy or otherwise reproduce, and this is in the agreement, Subify's confidential information, which is what Subify's alleging is exactly what the Ace family did. It says Ace was authorized to use the platform, including the trade secrets and confidential information, pursuant to a license in the agreement. It's like, when you use Windows or you use Apple's OS, you're using it under a license. It's not, the OS isn't your property. You're licensed to use it. The OS and the coding that went into that belongs to Apple. And so that's basically what they're saying. The Ace was able to use it, but it was under a license and they didn't buy it outright. And here, I'm just going to read this one little bit where they say that, the agreement says that Ace agreed that they would not decompile or reverse engineer the information service or otherwise attempt to obtain the source code for the information service. And basically, they're saying that's exactly what they did. So they breached the agreement and they misappropriated the technology. And then they say on July 1st, the member platform launched and immediately proved highly successful. They admit that, there was a glitch and that for less than an hour, the platform crashed. I'm presuming, as with a lot of these things that get launched, it was because of so much traffic to the site. But apparently they fixed it, within a short period of time, and it was back up and running. So it says that, pursuant to the agreement, Subify provided them with no warranty or representation guaranteeing flawless or uninterrupted performance. So what they're saying is they couldn't guarantee that it would never crash or that there would never be a glitch, because with technology, as we all know, there's always something. And they talk about how, and they admit that for almost 2 hours on the day that it launched, the site crashed. But they quickly, relatively quickly got it back up and running. And my guess is probably with the launch of any of these type of things, there was just so much influx of traffic that the service couldn't handle it. It probably crashed, and they probably had to add in some of that extra free server space that they had provided to Ace Hat Collection in order to get the site back up. And then they say, notwithstanding the minor interruption, the member platform earned $390,882.03 in its first 7 days of operation. That sounds like a success to me. And it says, in an effort to comprehensively address any future bugs or flaws, Subify constructed a revamped version of the member platform, which was ready for migration onto their website, which means it was ready to launch on August 9th, 2020. So what they did was they probably upgraded some stuff. So on August 9th, they let Ace know the new website was ready to go, and they were just waiting for Ace to give them the word. And on August 11th, it says, in response to Subify's notice that the new member platform was ready for use, Ace's representative, Austing McBroom, stated, "Nah, man, the current member platform is working good." Okay, so he's admitting in a text that the platform's working. And we want to do a big launch next week. Now, this is important because they're saying that they want to launch something big in the next week. And you'll hear a little bit more about that in a second. And it said that, the platform proved highly successful. They derived hundreds of thousands of dollars from the platform in a matter of days. They say that in total for the month of July, the member platform generated revenue in the amount of $493,153. That's pretty good. It's almost $500,000 in 1 month. Then they say that in August, the platform generated revenue in the amount of $365,016.96. So a little bit lower, but I think, when you launch something like this, that's to be expected. People sign up, there's a lot of buzz, and so they rush to sign up. Some people decide it's not for them and will probably close their account. But, the excitement dies down. So that sounds right to me. But I mean, it's still almost $400,000 in 1 month. Sounds pretty nice to me. So now they talk about the back and forth they went through, and you're going to love this, with the Ace family on getting these invoices paid. So they say, on or about August 3rd, Subify provided Ace with an invoice for $162,740.59, representing 33% of the July revenue, which they were entitled to under the agreement. They said that pursuant to the agreement, Ace was obligated to pay them on or before August 8th, 2020. And it says, after the deadline on August 8th passed without payment, and in response to Subify's repeated demand for payment, Ace's representative, Alan McBroom, wrote in an August 13th, 2020 email to Subify, payment will be sent on Monday, August 17th. Okay, Alan. And then they say after August 17th came and went with no payment, they again asked about it. And Alan McBroom wrote that Catherine McBroom would make payment on the August 3rd invoice when she returns from a trip, asking that Subify give her until Friday the 28th of August. And so Subify agreed to do that. And then they say on August 28th, the day when Catherine was supposed to pay them, Subify again alerted Ace that it had yet to receive any payment on the August 3rd invoice. And Alan McBroom wrote, we're taking care of it. It has to go through their CPA due to the amount. Okay, so another excuse. Okay. Then on September 1st, Subify provided Ace with an invoice for the $120,455, representing its share of the August revenue. Also on September 1st, Subify served Ace with a written demand from its counsel demanding full payment on both the August 3rd, 2020 invoice and the September 1, 2020 invoice. So clearly they've run out of patience, and I don't blame them. It says, despite the demand, Ace has failed and refused to pay any amounts owing and due to Subify on either the August 3rd or the September 1, 2020 invoice. The gall of these people that they think they can just walk away from all their debts. It just is mind-blowing to me at the irresponsibility and the sense of entitlement and the lack of responsibility that they take. Okay? They have no responsibility. It says, pursuant to Section 60 of the agreement, either party was entitled to terminate the agreement at any time. Okay, so now they're addressing where Ace is like, oh, well, we canceled the agreement because it didn't operate the way we wanted it to. And so they say that the agreement was that the agreement could be terminated by giving at least 90 days notice to the other party, which, of course, they gave them no notice, basically. It says the agreement could be terminated if, now this is the other way it could be terminated, if either party failed to perform any of its material obligations, and such failure continues for 30 days following written notice from the non-breaching party. So in other words, if Ace had said, we're not happy with the way this is operating, we're putting you on notice that 30 days from today, we're going to end the contract. And if Subify was unable to correct whatever was wrong before the 30 days elapsed, the contract could legally be ended. That's not what the Ace family did. Now, this is where the Ace family's lawyers get involved. And it says, on or about September 11, 2020, Ace's legal counsel served Subify a notice purporting to terminate the agreement for cause based upon previously undisclosed breaches claimed for the first time ever against Subify. So they never had complained. In fact, we saw in that text message that Austin said, no, we don't want you to upgrade the platform because we like the way it's working. Okay. Then it says Ace attempted to characterize the termination as being for cause by vaguely claiming that Subify had provided users with a substandard consumer experience, and astonishingly that its outdated website construction and coding created security risks and inefficiencies, among other baseless and pretextual allegations that had never before been claimed by Ace. So they're saying that it's astonishing because they offered almost, very shortly after the first version launched, they offered them an upgraded version, and the Ace family said, no, we like the way the first version is working. But now what they're saying is Ace is claiming they terminated the agreement because the technology was outdated. It's like, I get a headache from these people. It says the termination notice was not preceded by a written notice of the alleged breach, inclusive of a 30-day opportunity to cure, as was required to terminate the agreement for cause, pursuant to Section 6B of the agreement, which is absolutely correct. From what I read, they didn't give them any notice at all, didn't even tell them exactly what the issue was. They basically, and like I said, this is how I think it goes down with Austin McBroom in particular. The greed motor kicks in and he says, oh my God, why are we paying these people so much money when we could have that money for ourselves? Therefore, screw them, we're keeping all the money. That's my opinion and my hypothesis. That's the gist of the claims. And now we're going to talk about the ridiculous things, in my opinion, that the Ace family's lawyers came up with for why they think this was justified. And then we're going to talk about the exchange between the judge, because I have a transcript because it was done on Zoom, and I went through the transcript and highlighted just a few juicy parts where the judge basically talks to the Ace family's lawyer like they are just absolute idiots, and you'll see in a minute. Now we're going to talk about the motion to dismiss, because instead of filing an answer, you can also, in most courts, you can also elect to file a motion to dismiss. So in other words, you're saying this thing has no merit whatsoever. We're not going to spend time answering it. We want it dismissed. And the court's rules allow you to file, in lieu of an answer, a motion to dismiss. Now, the motion to dismiss was denied, so now they have to file an answer. I looked and it's not been filed yet, and this was a few months ago. So again, I don't know what it is with the Ace family and their lack of responding to things. But anyways, let's go now and take a look at the motion to dismiss. They say that there are a couple of smoking guns, Subify says. And so it says that basically the exclusive content that the Ace family made in the video form was uploaded to Vimeo, and each time it was uploaded to Vimeo, it was assigned a unique number. And so they're saying that when they looked at the content that was migrated to the new website, it had the same number. So basically the Ace family copied that material and moved it over. But another smoking gun, and this one, which is, in my opinion, more spot on, is they misappropriated and used Subify's customized user or Yowzer, I don't know how you pronounce it, user, I guess, plugin. And it says that Subify confirmed that every single plugin incorporated into the misappropriated platform was also incorporated into the platform by Subify. So in other words, the misappropriated or the new site or platform basically used all of the customized plugins that Subify had modified and customized for the Ace family's platform. And so basically they didn't reinvent the wheel. They took what Subify's work and used it as their own, which is a no-no. They talk about the user plugin. It's used to facilitate maintenance and display of user comments on platform posts. And it says, while user is publicly available in generic form, Subify customized it in order to optimize it for the custom coding it wrote for the member platform, as Subify did for every other plugin that incorporated into the member platform. So they're saying that, yes, these plugins aren't proprietary in terms of the generic version, but they then went and changed, and we're going to talk about when we get to Ace family's argument about derivative forms. In other words, when you take something, customize it, and create a new something out of it, how, yes, you can't claim ownership of the base plugin, but once you customize it, the customized version, you can claim as your work. That'll become clear why that's important in a minute. Then they go on to say that there's a third smoking gun because on or about September 1, Ace downloaded a CSV file containing all account information of its subscription members, which included member names, billing information, payment dates, etc. Ace was not authorized by Subify to access or extract the user account data. And it says Ace downloaded the data under the false belief that it could integrate the same into the misappropriated platform for the purpose of transferring subscribers of the member platform to the misappropriated platform and avoiding the requirement of asking members of the member platform to sign up for the misappropriated platform. So in other words, they wanted to basically, in addition to taking all of the plugins in the created platform, they wanted to take the members so they could just have them go live on their newly created site without having to ask them all to resubscribe again. And it says that they weren't able to transfer any of the subscribers because there are privacy proscriptions in effect by third-party platform Sticky.io, which, like the member platform, was also incorporated by Ace into the misappropriated platform. So in other words, because of this other third parties' confidentiality provisions, they will not allow you to take this information and make it live, because they're protecting against stolen database. I understand that. So then they have their claims, and I'm not going to read all the claims, but there's breach of contract, there's the theft of the confidential information and unfair competition, etc. The damages they're asking for the first cause of action, which I think is the breach of contract, is $3,398,354. Second cause of action, the same amount. The third cause of action, same amount. Fourth cause, $283,196, and then for the fifth cause, $424,794.27. And I added this all up. You can see here, I put this amount here. This wasn't here. $10,903,052.93 is what they're asking the court, plus attorney's fees and costs. One thing that's interesting is in the agreement, there's a provision for the Ace family to buy the platform. In other words, if they don't want to work with Subify anymore, there was a provision where they could buy the platform outright and not have to deal with Subify anymore. Of course, it was like over $3 million that it was going to cost, which, if you look at over time what the projected revenues would probably be, that's not a whole lot of money, because you figure you're going to be paying these people every month. So if you get $3 million, give them $3 million up front and it's yours, that's probably better for you. But of course, they didn't do that. They didn't do it by the book. Along with the motion to dismiss, there are two affidavits that were filed, and one is from Alan McBroom, and then the other is from this McCandless guy, who is the owner of the company that reverse engineered, allegedly, the platform. And we'll get to that in a minute. But Alan McBroom, in his affidavit to go with the motion to dismiss, says, "I'm the chief executive officer of Ace Hat Collection. The Ace family is one of the leading digital native family entertainment channels in the world. Ace has amassed a global following, including a YouTube channel with 19,100,000 subscribers," which I think it's down almost 5 million from that. He says he served as a liaison between the Ace family and its agents, managers, attorneys, accountants, and business partners for 5 years. He supervised, poorly in my opinion, the execution of over 20 branded integrations on behalf of the Ace family. So I won't read you the rest of this fluff, but he goes on to say that the Ace family launched the Ace Fan Club site on July 1, 2020. The site charged fans $20 a month for membership. God bless you. The site crashed on the launch day, did not work at all for a period of 2 hours. Oh my God. Fans sent Ace family members Austing McBroom and Catherine McBroom over 1,000 comments directly to their respective social media accounts to complain about the problems the fans had accessing the site. Come on, man. We all know that things like this crash on the first day or on launch all the time. Okay? And for it being less than 2 hours, I think is pretty good. So, okay. And that's what their pretext is, why this was such a bad consumer experience. The site did not block. Okay, now this one really gets me. Okay, I was telling you about how Vimeo is a third party. So Alan McBroom says the site did not block users from copying and reposting the exclusive content. Basically, what he's saying is people were able to copy the videos off of Vimeo. It's like, okay, well, Vimeo's a third party as far as I know. That has nothing to do with Subify. So if fans, Subify can't guarantee that no one can copy a video from Vimeo. They have no control over Vimeo or Vimeo's technology. That's just ridiculous in my opinion. And it says, this is the other moment. The site's membership declined to 14,000 members in September 2020. Yes, because people probably said, this is freaking lame. I don't want to subscribe to this, and stop their subscription. Of course it's going to decline. What do you think? The numbers are just going to continue to sky. You know, these people live in like fairyland. They just think that all their poop comes up smelling like roses and everything is just going to be so miraculously successful, and then it fails spectacularly and they can't understand why. So they're trying to blame Subify for their decline in membership. You know, I could understand there was a glitch on that first day. Why would they be responsible for the membership declining? You know, that's more likely people saying, this is crap. I don't want to be a subscriber anymore. Right? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Alan goes on to say, in response to the problems with this site, I retain the services of a website development firm called the McCandless Group to evaluate the source of the site's issues. What issues? They never raised any issues. You mean the glitch on the first day where it crashed? Evaluate? What do you mean evaluate? The site, they got it up and running, and then from what I understand, it didn't crash again. So what are the issues? You know, again, this is all such BS. It gives me such a bad taste in my mouth. It says, McCandless informed me that its evaluation revealed that the site was based almost entirely on non-exclusive, non-custom plugins, poor coding, substandard security features, and non-customized designs. Another thing that Alan McBroom alleges here is that on September 3rd, 2020, the Subify team changed the payment configuration on the third-party subscription platform, which caused all transactions to be declined. Now, I think he's talking about that sticky.io. That's a third-party platform, and what they're saying, what Subify was saying was because the McBrooms tried to transfer the information over and use sticky.io on the new site, that the security protocols put in place by sticky.io wouldn't allow them to do that. Alan McBroom is alleging that somehow this is Subify's fault. Well, if they tried to transfer everything over and the third-party sticky.io stopped working, and it's because of something that sticky.io put in place to prevent the use of any stolen information, that's not Subify's fault. And so they're claiming that Subify's actions, which they didn't take any action as far as I could see from what I read, prevented Ace from collecting approximately $285,000 in revenue. So probably for the month of September, the subscription fees that people were due to be charged, they couldn't charge the customers. But again, if that's because of security protocols put in place by sticky.io, because you've misappropriated allegedly the information and tried to just transfer all of it over and have it start billing on your new site, but you were prevented because of the third-party software's security protocols, well, that has nothing to do with Subify, okay? I don't see how you can blame them and claim that they owe you any money for that. Then the next affidavit is from this McCandless guy. And so, you know, he says he's the owner of McCandless, and I won't read very much of this. He's the owner of the McCandless Group LLC, that he has 10 years of experience managing software development, not developing software, managing. Okay, he's supervised the development of 300 software projects over 10 years. He has 10 years experience supervising the process of coding websites. So basically, from what I get from looking at this McCandless Group, they basically farm out everything is what it sounds like. And they're like the point people for coordinating all of these things getting done for whatever project they're working on. So I don't think that's really the same thing, Mr. McCandless, as being directly involved in software coding. It sounds like you basically stood on the sidelines and just coordinated things. So I don't think you're really an expert, in my opinion. Now listen to this. On August 4th, 2020, okay, August 4th. So a month before they even purported to terminate this contract, they say that they retain the services, that Ace retained the services of the McCandless Group to evaluate the coding of the website designed by Subify. Now, why would they retain them to evaluate the coding? First of all, it doesn't sound like the McCandless can do that. It sounds like they would have to have a third party do that, from what I understood. Why would they, on August 4th, do this when Austing just a week later tells Subify that everything's hunky-dory and they don't want a new version, they like the version they've got? What are they evaluating? You mean the Ace contacted you because they wanted you to find somebody to recreate this website so they wouldn't have to pay all of this money to Subify? That's my opinion. Okay? So I'm just going to skip all of this. He goes through and you can see that he gives a whole list of all of these plugins. Okay. But again, we're talking about, yes, they may be available to people to use and modify, but once they're modified, you can't say that it's freeware, because it's been modified from the freeware version. So it's now a derivative version of the first version. I'm going to put up here something about derivative stuff so you can just see a very brief example of what they're talking about. So it says, this is from the United States Copyright Office. So this isn't, this is from the authority. Now they say copyright in derivative works and compilations. It says a derivative work is a work based on or derived from one or more already existing works. Another common type of derivative work is a new edition of a pre-existing work in which the editorial revisions, annotations, elaborations, or other modifications represent as a whole an original work. So in other words, you're compiling things and creating like an anthology, even though you're using these individual copyrighted works. This anthology you're creating is now a new thing. And it says, the following are examples of many types of derivative works. And two of the things they say are a new version of an existing computer program and a revision of a website. Compilation of data or compilation of pre-existing works, okay, or known as collective works. And one of the things is a website containing text, photos, and graphics. In other words, you're compiling these texts and photos and things from other places and putting them on this website, okay? But I think a derivative work is more appropriate in this instance, but I'm not a copyright expert. I will say that right up front. Subify took these things and created derivative work by modifying them, customizing them, putting them all together then in this new platform. McCandless and the Ace family's lame excuse that, they use all of these plugins that are available on the internet. Well, maybe, but they altered them or customized them for this Ace Club platform. They didn't just throw them in there. They had to customize them. Okay. So now let's talk about the motion to dismiss. That's where you're going to see what the Ace family is trying to argue. So now we're going to get to the juicy stuff. I'm not going to read you the Ace family's whole motion to dismiss, because there's things that I've picked out of this transcript of the hearing on the motion to dismiss will pretty much give you all the information you need to know. And you'll see basically the court reacting to these arguments that the Ace family's counsel is making. So you're going to see here's the transcript, okay, and it says Subify versus ASAT collection. It's a motion via Microsoft Teams. Now we get into the first, what I think is ridiculous argument, and it took up, in their motion to dismiss, this was their first front and center argument of why this thing should be thrown out. And I understand their logic, but they clearly didn't understand the law, because listen to how the judge responds. And so they say, Your Honor, it relates specifically to the issue of whether Subify has standing to sue in the state of New York. Subify, they claim, does not in fact do business in New York. So what they're saying is Subify is not registered to do business in New York. They're not doing business in New York. Therefore, they can't avail themselves of New York law. And the court says, what is the point of all that? So the court is clearly frustrated with these ridiculous arguments. They say the case law in the first department, which is New York is divided into departments instead of county courts, it's departments. It says the case law in the first department here is that they can rectify that. They could cure that at some point. So it's not a basis for summary judgment. It's not a basis for dismissal. So in other words, they're saying, okay, maybe Subify isn't registered to do business in New York, and all you really have to do is file a paper with the Secretary of State and have a registered agent in the state. And what the court is saying, there's nothing in the law that says they can't do that now. It doesn't prevent them from bringing this case in New York, where the parties have agreed would be the venue for anything like this, because it's basically, the argument is a non-starter. So all of this hot air and argument, and they went on to, they were talking about, the head of Subify, his trips back and forth to New York, and all these other things, and they're trying to make it sound like, even though he's in New York and he calls New York his home, he hasn't bothered to register it, he's not doing business in New York, blah blah blah. So they made a big deal out of the fact that Subify isn't registered with the Secretary of State to do business in New York. And so basically the judges said, really? Is that all you got? Okay, and so then they go on because there's more here, and there's some more juicy stuff here. So finally, Ace's lawyer moves on, and they say the real key problem with the claim that Subify has alleged against Ace Hat, and which we are seeking to have dismissed, is the center on the issue. I think they meant centers on the issue of misappropriation of trade secrets. And I won't read all of this part. The Ace's lawyer says the agreement was that Subify would create a best-in-class bespoke website permitting the Ace. I don't see anywhere where it said best in class, but anyways, that would enable the Ace family to put content online and make it available to subscribers. And the subscribers would be able to, through that highly secure best in class. They keep reiterating this like, you know, it was supposed to be the world's best. So any flaw at all means that it was a breach of what they agreed. This is it. The argument is just so ridiculous. So they say that that subscribers would be able to, through that highly secure, best-in-class, bespoke platform, which means custom, be able to subscribe, pay for that subscription, and access the content. Okay. They said what Subify provided was a platform built on decades old or over a decade old technology called WordPress. Okay, so I just want to stop here because the judge didn't address this, but I want to address this. They're talking about decades old. Okay, so WordPress, if any of you have ever used it, it's something that's been evolving over time. They didn't create like one version of it and just said, you know, 20 years ago, okay, there's WordPress. You know, it's like Microsoft Windows. You know, Windows 98 back from 1998 isn't the same Windows you're using today. And even though it's decades old technology, it's been constantly evolving and being updated. So the fact that they're trying to make this sound like outdated technology is absolutely stupid, in my opinion. It says, well, reverse engineering is a fatal cause of action for trade secrets, misappropriation, or otherwise. And their lawyer says the fundamental aspect to a trade secret is that it be indeed secret, and the ability to reverse engineer something, that is to take the public-facing piece of technology or product or whatever it might be and make one's own based on what's available and obvious to the public. And so they're saying it's not really a trade secret because the reverse engineering was taking public technology or product and make it one's own based on what's available and obvious to the public, meaning that it is not sufficiently secret to support a cause of action for trade secret misappropriation. So again, they're trying to claim, oh, well, the plugins were publicly available, therefore they're not proprietary. Well, not exactly, because like we talked about, they customized them and integrated them into this platform. So it's not so simple as you're trying to make it sound. And it says, the court, okay, this judge is great. I would love to meet this judge. He says, so an engineer buys an Apple product, figures out how to open it up, figures out how it works, and then sells the product. Apple's just going to say, well, you're lucky that you figured it out. He goes on to talk about, you know, exactly what the engineer was doing, blah, blah, blah. He says, but here, what we are talking about is a matter of plugins that are an open source platform. And he's talking about WordPress. So he's talking about the plugins in WordPress being open source. But again, it's not just a matter of taking these two things and mashing them together and saying there's a platform. It all has to be customized, put together, and everything has to be tweaked to do whatever it is you want to do for your specific site. So again, this argument is so fundamental and basic that it's ridiculous. It says, but with respect to his argument concerning whether anything that's capable of being reverse engineered is capable of being a trade secret, I have to respectfully disagree with him, at least with respect to the facts before the court. The stuff that's not capable of being identified or looked at or reverse engineered by any third party, by anyone who's browsing the internet, is he saying what a trade secret is. So he's saying that you can't basically identify or see it. Well, they talk about how they downloaded the whole site, picked it apart, and figured out how it was put together. So, you know, again, I think that argument's stupid. I'm presuming that this is Subify's attorney saying the only way that the member platform could be fully reverse engineered is if it was taken off the website, and the only party that could actually do that actually had access to both the front-facing and the back-facing information, other than Subify, was the Ace Hat. So Ace Hat was the only one capable of actually doing the reverse engineering that is alleged in the complaint. So what they're saying is that, by going through everything in each line of code and going through all the plugins, looking at specific custom tailored plugins that have been modified, those things were not front facing, they were back facing, they were not viewable by the general public. So in other words, people just going on the internet couldn't access this back-facing code or back-facing programming. And so they're basically saying that the argument that the Ace family is making that, well, it was all public information, so it's not really a trade secret. They're saying, no, it wasn't all public information because the stuff that we customized, nobody could see but you, because we had customized and modified everything to create this custom platform. And the only people who were capable of seeing the coding that we put together is you. So it's not public information. It's something that we created that was proprietary and is confidential, and you took it and pulled it apart and reverse engineered it to recreate it. And so you didn't use publicly available information. You used the back-end code that we created, and you're the only ones who could have gotten it because it's not public code. So then here comes the attorney for Ace family, and it says, this is not a misappropriation of trade secret claim. Ace Hat is okay, listen to this. This just turns my stomach. Why they would insult the court with this kind of description of the Ace family. It's like they're pandering to the court to take pity on these poor common folk. Now listen, this is what they say. Ace Hat is a mom and dad and a couple of kids who make cute videos that they put online. Cute videos online for people to watch. They are not software engineers. They didn't have the capacity to reverse engineer anything. So the court, of course, this judge is really sharp, and he goes, so if they employ someone to do it, it doesn't matter? And he says, so if the cute mom and pop, so you can tell the judge is annoyed by this language too. So if the cute mom and pop and kid have their vendor misappropriate trade secrets, if that's the case, you don't get a pass on that because you needed a vendor to do it. So what he's saying is you can't say that they're blameless because they didn't actually do the work. You can't absolve yourself because you hired somebody to do it. Okay, so you are guilty of this if it's proven that that's what you did, that you stole trade secrets. And it doesn't matter that you didn't do it. You hired the person that did it. And you specifically, obviously they hired this guy to do this, in my opinion. So then the judge says he's heard from the parties, and with respect to the motion, he's basically denying the motion to dismiss. He orders Ace Hat Collection, the Ace family, to file an answer. Now, like I said, I can't see that they've actually filed an answer yet. It's not been docketed. So I don't know what's going on. Like I said, there could be some agreement that I didn't see for them to extend their time to file their answer. That's the lawsuit. And so I think the Ace family is going to lose, frankly. And I think that this is a big one because it's a lot of damages. Who knows? I don't know what the court will ultimately end up deciding that the Ace family owes them. I mean, I think they, at the very least, certainly they owe them the revenue that they were supposed to pay them that they didn't pay them. But I think they should pay them the $3+ million for the software because they clearly took the product created by Subify and had somebody use the same coding and take the same customizations and recreate them in an almost identical platform. So I think they should also have to pay them for the software. So we'll see what the court decides. But here's where the interesting thing is. Okay, so now we've talked about this before. You get a judgment. Great. You get a judgment. Now you have to collect on it. If the Ace family doesn't have the money and Ace Hat Collection doesn't have the money, which I'm guessing they probably don't have that much money, how do you then collect on your judgment? So you have to look at the business's assets. So Ace Hat Collection, and I'm going to show you this, happens to own the trademark, the Ace family. So the whole Ace family identity basically is owned by Ace Hat Collection. So you have to ask yourself if, and you can see it here, I've got it here, it says word mark, the Ace family. It was filed on January 31st, 2018, and it goes on, tell you what it's used for, and, hats and other merchandise, goods and services, so entertainment services, and the series of online non-downloadable videos featuring a family's relationship and experience, including challenges and pranks. And it says, the names, portraits, and or signatures shown in the mark identifies Austin, Dolores, Catherine McBroom, Al McBroom, whose consent to register is made of record. So, they're the ones who've registered. But you can see that it's owned by Ace Hat Collection. This may or may not be true. I'm presuming that their YouTube revenues probably get funneled through Ace Hat Collection. I can't say Ace Hat Collection owns the YouTube site, but Ace Hat Collection owns the name and the trademark of the Ace family. So you have to ask yourself, so if Subify wins and they're unable to collect fully on the judgment, might they not ask the court to award them ownership of the trademark, which presumably has some value for them then to do whatever they want with it, depending on what value they see in it? That's possible. They could ask the court, because it could be considered an asset of the company. And so then that would be the end of the Ace family, because they wouldn't be able to call themselves the Ace family anymore. They would have to change their name, the McBrooms or whatever. But the Ace family would stop existing if the trademark was taken over by Subify as part of a judgment collection. So who knows? We have to wait and see. Let me know what you think down below. But I think this lawsuit is very serious. It's one that it really hasn't been talked about. I really think that Subify may not win on all of the counts that they've brought, but I certainly think breach of contract. And I certainly think that the recreation and reverse engineering of the platform, certainly it's the Ace family, in my opinion, and it'll be up to the court to decide, has misappropriated that. And so they should reimburse Subify for the amount that they would have had to pay to buy the platform outright. And so that's a lot of money we're talking about. We know they don't have the money. And again, it just brings me back to, okay, so they had all of this cash coming in. Why didn't they pay their mortgage? What did they do with the money? That's like $500,000. What did they do with $500,000 if they weren't paying their mortgage with it? It boggles my mind. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of all of this. I'd be interested to hear. Thank you so much to our Patreon patrons. As always, I can't thank you guys enough. I have so much gratitude to you guys, to our channel members as well. You guys are so great. Thank you for your monthly support. And I also have a couple of people to thank from the Amazon wishlist, because we got a bunch of cat food. I was so excited to see because we go through lots of cat food, okay? I want to say thank you to Cora M, who got us 3 cases of Friskies Pate cat food. Thank you, Cora, so much. I really appreciate it. You're a lifesaver. Like I said, we go through so much food and it is not cheap. So thank you so much, Cora. I also want to say a big thank you to, and I don't know which way you pronounce it. Either you pronounce it Genevieve MK, or if you pronounce it the French way, it's Genevieve MK. But Genevieve or Genevieve, thank you so much for the case of cat food you sent. So we got 4 cases of cat food this week. I'm so happy, but believe me, it only lasts a week. Those 4 cases are only going to last us a week. So they don't last long, and actually just under a week. But thank you so much, you guys, because I really appreciate it. I appreciate everyone who sends something from the wish list, which is in the description down below. The Amazon wish list is all stuff for the cats. If you want to send something, I'm grateful. The cats are grateful. I definitely will give you a shout out. But I want to say thank you to everyone who's supporting us. Please like and subscribe. Please help us keep growing. We need you so much. Between 33 and 50% of you are not subscribed. Please subscribe. It only takes a second. We really want to keep bringing content, and I need your help. But in the meantime, you guys take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.
Pretty please. Subscribe, like, and hit the bell. I get a treat for every new sub. Thank you.